You've built a practice around flying anywhere
Yeah.
in the world to defend a case, but has there ever been a moment where you've kind of regretted taking that flight?
Yeah, I have to be honest, sure. Sometimes I'll say, "What the hell am I doing?" Right? Yeah, I mean, I love travel, and I built a 15-year practice on I focus on my art special, if you wanna call that, is taking cases overseas. And we'll take cases CONUS, but the vast majority of my cases throughout my 15 years as a civilian counsel, and even in my last duty assignment was in Asia. I've made a practice out of doing that because I think service members are grossly underrepresented when they're overseas because they don't have access to quality civilian counsel because most people don't want to take cases out there because it's very difficult and it's expensive and time consuming to get there. A lot of civilian counsel will say, well, why would I fly all the way to Asia and burn 40 hours just travel time? I mean, it's 40 hours just
Yeah, just
travel
travel time.
time, just in travel time to do a case there when they can take one at the local base that's near where they're at and they can make more money and save more time. But I think service members are grossly underrepresented at these bases overseas. And I really like doing it. I still enjoy the travel. And sometimes it has its moments, right? And where it has its moments are when I have to be in Asia one week and then in Europe the next week. That's where things become highly problematic. They say, do you regret those types of flights? Yeah, which is why I do a lot of cases in Asia. And if I can batch cases, I can do a trip to Korea. I can do a trial there, fly from there to Okinawa. Now I'm on the time zone. I'm already acclimated to the time zone. It's easier for myself. It's easier for the clients. I can batch cases. That's by far and away the best situation. It saves time, it saves money, it saves effort, and it works out for everyone. Where the
Yeah,
problems come in, you talk about the regret, is if I have a trial at Camp Humphreys, Korea, and then next thing I know, I have a motions hearing that I have to be at in Wiesbaden, Germany. Well, now what? Right?
mm,
Now what?
mhm.
And so you
Well,
have
now
to
what is the answer to that?
you do a global trip. You do one around this is why you go all around the world. You just keep going, right? And so you finish in Korea, and then you do a flight from Korea to Germany. And you can there's a lot of ways you can connect that, but you do a flight from Korea to Germany. Like I did that.
Well, that's kind you just did that, didn't you?
I
Just
did,
like
and so my
last month.
yeah, I did, and I had a case in Asia, and so then you just connect. You get what's called an around the world ticket, and you finish your case in Korea, and then you can connect. You can a lot of different ways you can do that. You can do that through Hong Kong, through Bangkok, through Dubai. There's a lot of ways to do that, but what's harder is to fly in one direction and then go back. It's significantly more challenging. You just can keep on going. It sounds maybe doesn't sound intuitive, but I've done enough to know that you just connect the cases. And so that's where it becomes more difficult is you just finish a case in Korea and then 2 days later you're in Germany. Okay, so then you do another let's say you transit via BKK, right? And so you go from Seoul to Bangkok's 5 hours, Bangkok to Frankfurt is another 12. So now you've got a 17 hours with connection time. It's another 20 hours of travel door to door to get to this new installation. And that's where things become more difficult to do. And so, to the extent possible, I try not to put myself in a situation where I need to be in Asia and then Europe and then back home, but inevitably it happens. And so, if that happens, I try to just link the cases and I'll just make one trip. And like this year, I have another one coming up in a couple months where I'll have circumnavigated the globe in 3 times this year already. That is not for the uninitiated. If you haven't done that before, you can do it and, "Oh, it's cool. You can check the box." But most people are just an absolute disaster once they land or once they're done because the jet lag is so extreme. 'Cause you're never fully catching up.